Yeah, hip hop. Is it real?
It's like yesterday.
Or is it yesterday's dream? Come on.
6 years old, loving the music.
Yeah,
26 years old, still love the shit, still do it right. Now that's
is it
love.
real?
Real talk.
Or is it yesterday's Whatever happened to the real MCs? Like KRS-One at Edutainment was a boogie down classic, son. When Eric B and Rakim let the rhythm hit him, and my favorite track goes, it ain't where you're from, it's where you're at. In the ghetto, we bumped that shit like heavy metal. This was more than music, this was hip-hop movement. Our voice reaching higher levels, the message never settle for less. We all rebels. Tupac, one of the realest that ever did it. He put his spirit in his lyrics, you can still hear it. Me against the world.
Peace and wholeness to the guys and earths. What's happening? It's Ra tapping in. Just wanted to holler at the family as I do. You know how I do. I just wanted to touch base on y'all with a download I just got briefly. I might have to break this down in parts because this one probably will be long-winded. So I'm gonna just try to touch base as best I can, and then we'll go from there. You know what I mean? But I was telling y'all that a lot of my downloads been coming to me recently from the Bible. And I know how a lot of people, when it comes to the Christian motifs and the tools used for Christianity, how they were used against us. But it's actually a lot of magic in that book as well. So I just wanted to bring out some things in the forefront that just came to me, right? Just recently I got this spiritual download. And I want to say it's from John chapter 1. I'm going to have to double check on that. But I know y'all heard this one before. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Like, y'all know how that saying go, right? So I really just wanted to come to y'all and break that down for you right quick, because I be feeling like we be quick to try to throw the baby out with the bathwater in terms of the Bible and the interpretations of it. And I just feel like, being that a lot of us grew up in that Christian doctrine, I feel like it's a good way of teaching people to bring them into the light in the right way of looking into these scriptures. Because once again, scriptures are nothing but fragments of the one source that man might have manipulated it to fit his agenda. Anything that's termed political is always man touching it and corrupting it. All right, so we always have to keep that in mind. All you have to do is look up the Council of Nicaea, and there was plenty other councils that took certain books out the Bible to orchestrate the book that we have today. But you have to know that it did come from the one source, and there is magic in that book. So with that scripture being said, right, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And then I think later on it says the Word became flesh, and so on and so forth, right? So you have to understand, when you're dealing with divine concepts or spiritual concepts, that we're talking vibration. So before there was light, there was darkness, right? And before there was light, there was also sound. That's what that says to me. If you're saying in the beginning there was Word, right? So that means before the light came, there had to be a vibration, a spark. You know what I'm saying? And then a resonance, and then a ripple effect. You know what I'm saying? And that's pretty much how light and sound came to be. You know what I mean? So now, when it comes to breaking it down to how the family, how us as human beings started to come into this light, into this sound, right? We have to look at it for its simplicity and how complex it can be, right? So I would say that anytime you want to go into spirituality, you should always go to the source as far as back as you can go. And a lot of the times it's either written in stone, as far as it being written down, but even before that, our ancient ancestors was about oral traditions. And that's where Word was still God. You see what I'm saying? Because it had a resonance in it, in the Word. And we have to realize, especially highly melanated people, the original people of the universe, right? We have to understand that First, we started with telepathy. That's how we communicated with each other. It was a vibe. It was a feel. Even to this day, we still use it. We talk to each other with certain slang language, and we say, I feel that. I felt that. You know what I mean? That it shows you that our telepathy is still being used. A lot of the times I say certain artists, they exemplify that, like Tupac and Bob Marley, that come off top of my head. They say a little, but it be so profound in just certain sentences, you know what I mean? But back to our ancient ancestors, the way they spoke was always in like proverbs and parables, and they always taught life lessons or blessings within those parables, right? So we always just have to keep in mind when we're talking about spirituality, in order to go back to the source, we have to go all the way back to those oral traditions. A lot of them, you can only go to certain tribes to still get those from the elders. But a lot of those was transformed and transmuted into these scriptures that we have in the Bible. So you can look in Psalms, or you can look in Proverbs and certain scriptures in the Bible, and you will still see remnants of the one source. You know what I'm saying? Because it resonates, you'll feel it. You know what I mean? So it went from oral traditions. That just goes to show you how powerful our words are and how they resonate from the stories that was told and from the feelings that you got from those stories. You feel me? So it started with that. And then as we started to descend into this 3D reality, as we started to sink into this reality, right? We start to have to write stuff down. That's when symbology came into play. Symbology is so profound that that's another language in itself. You know what I mean? So we started coming up with some symbols to communicate our resonance instead of using words. You know what I mean? And then we started putting these things on stone, and then paper, and then now we have today your tablet, your phone. You see what I'm saying? You see how things grow. You know what I mean? But in order to truly understand the essence of everything, you always got to go to the root. And we're the root. So let's get back to the actual word being God. One thing that I would like to point out, outside of just the ancient ancestors and how they displayed messages, oral traditions is still one of the most profound ways to absorb knowledge, just so you know. If you got an elder, your grandparent, or however further you can go back, if you can get some wisdom from that person, that's gold, especially in these times, because they trying to X all of that out and just make it all about the youth. And that's it. You know what I mean? So it was always rites of passage. The elders always served a purpose in our community, in our tribes, and in our nations. And we should always know that. You know what I'm saying? But I just feel like another aspect of the word being God is, look at hip hop. Let's go right into that. Hip hop, the way it started, it had a resonance to it to the point where we totally transformed the world with it. And that's just the power of our voice. See, and that's the thing you want to call so-called black people, melanated people, the original people, whatever you want to call us. We have a power within us that I don't even think we understand. You know what I'm saying? But look at hip hop, for example. We pretty much turned nothing into something with hip hop, because that was at the time when we was in squalor. Our communities was riddled with drugs, as always. You know what I'm saying? From heroin to the crack pandemic. You know what I'm saying? And the list goes on as far as how heavily intoxicated we've been in our neighborhoods, whether it be from alcohol to the certain drugs that was put into our neighborhood. And then the guns, that's a whole nother story. But at the time of hip hop, we was pretty much bombarded with all of these things. And we found a way to have an outlet to express ourselves. And that outlet transformed the world. You know what I'm saying? And now everything is hip hop orientated, if you think about it. That shows you the word being God. You see what I'm saying? How you can literally turn something out of nothing, because that's where it came from. The birth of hip hop was just out of people not having things and being in squalor, and they just started expressing themselves out of that chaos. You see what I'm saying? So that's another example of the word being God. Another example, think of the civil rights movement. Think of Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Huey Newton, Fred Hampton, you know what I'm saying? So Marcus Garvey, like so many great leaders, Bob Marley, Tupac, Big. Like we can put all of them in the category of revolutionaries as far as wordplay and the magic of our words and how they can cast spells. You see what I'm saying? And the so-called powers that be, they know this. They know this. They know this science. And that's why they be quick to try to get a hold of your masters to control your narrative. You see what I'm saying? Just as far as the music industry goes. But in terms of our power of spoken word, it still always goes back to that oral tradition. Our words are so powerful that in regards to Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, they had to rub them brothers out just off of words that they spoke. That should ring a bell to show you how prominent and how powerful our voices are, just of how we speak, how we can organize and really transmute thought. Because really words is nothing but thought forms. You see what I'm saying? Expressions of oneself, especially when you're going through pain, when you're going through joy, all of the things that we do to express ourselves. Melanated people, we do it in such a clever way. And when I say melanated people, I'm not just saying black people. We got to get out of this idea of skin surface value. You know what I mean? Because we was all one people before they started going around recategorizing everybody into these categories, these sections. Oh, you Spanish, you Indian, you this, you that. We was all one people, man. You know what I'm saying? And all you have to do is just look at certain people's cultures to understand the way we eat, the way we dance. Certain things is just, it's almost identical. So only just because we may speak different languages and shit like that now, in the beginning, when you really trace all that shit back to Africa and just the indigenous people of the planet, it's all similar. We all was tribal. We all understood spirituality and how to be in touch with nature, Mother Nature, and we understood the elements: fire, earth, water, air, ether. We understood that how we were so connected to all of these things and how to pass these down from generation to generation until a usurper type of energy came into play. And these are the beings that we're dealing with now, that's in our positions of high positions of government and the lobbyists of those government officials that be passing down these laws that's being mandated upon the original people. That's a whole nother story. But we still talking about this word being God. So Dave, one of the particular things I really want to highlight is, like, for example, Bob Marley, yo. His style of doing music is always, he's one of my favorite artists. He always is just like a go-to topic as far as being a prime example of what I'm talking about. Being able to say a little and mean a lot. You know what I mean? And I just feel like a lot of his songs, like The Mystic in the Air, No Woman No Cry, the joint where you say Three Little Birds, Bullheads, you know what I'm saying? Buffalo Soldier, like War, you know what I'm saying? Like all of these songs, if you really just listen to the words, they don't even be that long, 3 minutes, 4 minutes tops, you know what I'm saying? And you would just hear, like, he's saying a lot in a little bit of time. That's God. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to over explain. You just listen to it and it has a resonance with you, like, damn, I felt that. You know what I'm saying? And when you have that type of power, that's what they know that you have. And we have to know that that's a tool. We have to know that. And we need to use that as a tool for our empowerment. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to break this down into parts, but this is just a briefing on how the word being God, and how in the beginning the word was with God and the word was God. You see what I'm saying? Because it's power in our voice. And even me being a rapper or a poet, it's like I realize the power of my voice and how I can move people, whether I'm performing, whether I'm in the booth or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Think about how the music industry has turned into now, where these young boys, they got the drill music, right? It's a lot of death being spoken in their music. And ain't death following them? Rappers is dropping like flies, I heard. You see what I'm saying? So we really have to be mindful with the words we speak. You see what I'm saying? So, like I said, this is just a briefing, a quick briefing of the Word being God, the Word being with God in the beginning. And it's just some things that I just downloaded, man. And the spiritual family is telling me it's time for me to start letting people know, you know what I'm saying, what's coming through. And I just feel like in the beginning and the ending, it's pretty much gonna be the same, bro. It's always gonna be chaos before you go through a change, any type of change. So I'm just gonna tell y'all to just sit tight, man. Buckle up. It's gonna be a bumpy ride, but as long as you got the word, you know what I'm saying, you stay true to that, you be good. Trust and believe that. So in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. You feel me? So that's Word. All right, y'all. I'm gonna holler. That's part one. I'm gonna get into some more on part two. All right, one.